So Jarvis made this forum post a little while ago about this whole Mineplex is dying fiasco, so I thought I'd do a little bit of discussion on it. Now the context of the post is not that important. Jarvis was responding to someone who's pointing out a lot of Mineplex's problems, but Jarvis wrote his post in a way so that it can be understood even without the context, so that's great for us. Anyways, let's start some quality discussion here. Now Jarvis starts off with the big one. Mineplex is dying, player count is dropping, yada yada. He admits that the player count has dropped. Now it's good to make factual concessions like that, and then he says, this is not something you need to be super concerned with. Well, I respectfully disagree with this one. When we have issues with getting games to start due to a lack of players, yeah, this is something the players probably should be concerned about. I will say this many times in this video, I am no expert on game design or anything super technical server-wise, but this is something that's pretty simple enough for me to understand at least. Like, an ultra-hardcore game starts up once in a blue moon, that is, if the server doesn't crash shortly after starting. Late at night, you're going to be waiting 10 plus minutes for a survival games lobby to fill up. Survival games is one of the most popular games. Most of the standalone mixed arcade games will never fill up, period. This is an issue that was not present some months back. I think we really should be concerned about this. Jarvis also says that you should not determine if Mineplex is dying or not by player base alone. Publicity, player interest, retention of players, and other things factor into it as well. Now I can kinda get behind what Jarvis is saying here, but then again, if we're not judging it by player base, what else are we supposed to use? Though I'm no expert, I'm pretty sure player base is like the best way to determine a server's general well-being. Publicity, well, I guess Mineplex is pretty well known if that's what we're talking about. I mean, Hypocritical has a much higher player count than Mineplex, and I would assume that people in general are equally aware of both servers, regardless of player count, so that's what he's talking about, I guess. Player interest, retention of players, man, I barely have a vague idea of what any of that means, so yeah, I'm not even gonna try. While I don't doubt that these things do play a role in how well a server is doing, I'm still a firm believer in that player base is the best way to determine it. The more players there are, the quicker games start, resulting in happier players. The more players there are, the more active and engaged the community will become due to the fact that there are more players to interact with who are all excited about the same server. The more players there are, the higher chance that YouTubers will come to the server, resulting in more publicity. There are these virtuous cycles that come with a high player base that make these gigantic servers what they are. And on that note, there are so many vicious cycles that come with a dying player base. The lower the player count, the longer it takes for games to start, resulting in unhappy players. The lower the player count, the lower the forum activity, resulting in a much less engaged community. The lower the player count, the lower the chance YouTubers want to make videos on that server. And just thinking about stuff like this goes to show that Mineplex really is dying. I don't think there's another way to put it. You can't sugarcoat this one. Forums are extremely inactive in comparison to past years. Games don't start, as I've discussed previously. Like, what is it going to take for Mineplex to be dying in Jarvis's eyes? What is the thing that determines a server's dying state? And after this, Jarvis basically says the leadership team is trying to come up with some sort of one-hit wonder type of game that will boost Mineplex back into business. I think that's what he's trying to get at. Again, I am no expert on the issue. Some people think Mineplex should work on their long list of glitches, most of which have been around for years. Some people think Mineplex should update the popular games, but I rarely hear anyone ask for new games. I think what's going on here is that seeing that the player count is low, it's not going to be worth anything for Mineplex to satisfy their current players. They want to bring in a ton of new players, and new games is probably the best way to do that. I don't know how smart this is, because, you know, Gem Hunters, I do believe was worked on for quite some time. Mineplex invested a lot of work into this one, and it just kind of flopped. It's a pretty boring game in my eyes, and it's happened with many recent game modes. Remember Clans? That thing was hyped up for over 2 years even, can't remember, but everyone was getting so excited, the discussion was crazy about this Clans thing, and it releases. And then it's like a half-functioning factions game mode with reused abilities from games like Champions, and the map is tiny. It was kind of a bummer. Maybe that's just me. I know a lot of people who do enjoy it, but for something that was hyped up for the span of over 1 year, this really should have been bigger. So Jarvis said that Mineplex needs an awesome idea, fresh and exciting. But is that a reliable strategy? I'm not going to answer that because I'm not the expert on this subject. I'm just asking questions. So this whole Mineplex is dying thing is truly one monster of a topic. I had no clue what to tackle first, so the fact that Jarvis organized his post in a way that I could tackle it with ease was perfect for me. I'm grateful to him for that, although the intention of the way he organized his post was not to simplify things for me specifically, obviously. It's just convenient things ended up this way, I guess. And before we move on, I would like to discuss the issue of people's opinions. I feel like almost half the threads made on Mineplex nowadays are, why Mineplex is dying? And everybody will list out everything they think is wrong with Mineplex, often offering no solutions to the problems brought up. Now, as Jarvis says, well, this is pretty lousy. People make these posts thinking their opinion should be heavily valued when so many people have already said the same thing. It's presumptuous, pretentious, and arrogant, and it's not really helpful. I am aware I'm being a bit of a hypocrite. I'm already offering a ton of my own opinions in this video. I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess the thing is that that's on the forums, this is on YouTube. That's one way of justifying it. Anyway, and for the people who do offer solutions, well, solutions are great, but here's one thing. If you offer solutions in the manner of, Mineplex needs to do this and that to stay alive, well, again, that's presumptuous, arrogant, and pretentious, and acting like your opinion is most valuable and that you're the expert on the topic, which you're probably not. Solutions are perfectly fine when they're only solutions, but when you make these bold statements that Mineplex needs to do things as if Mineplex needs to listen to you, we have an issue. Is this going to be a long video? This is going to be a long video. It's probably going to be multiple long videos. Jesus Christ. For the sake of video length and some other complicated planning, I'm going to skip some parts of Jarvis's post for now and save them for next video. So, let's look at what Jarvis has to say about the hacker issue. Now, I quote, "If you go to other servers, you will see way more hackers. Gwen is in no way perfect, but it's doing a fantastic job," end quote. The second sentence there is plausible, but that first one, if you go to other servers, you will see way more hackers? No. I can't be nice about this one. That's just wrong. I don't know what servers you're talking about. Parkour servers, perhaps? My friend's survival multiplayer? That statement's pretty unspecific, might I add. Which servers are you talking about? Because if you're saying Mineplex has a better anti-cheat than servers like Hypocritical and Good Tiger, you're just wrong. Sorry, I can't find another way to say this. I played 400 games on Good Tiger and ran into one hacker who was using player tracers, and he was instantly banned. Over on Hypocritical, I have like 5, 6, 7 days worth of playtime. I've never seen a single hacker. How about Mineplex? On good days, I'll see a hacker once an hour. Half the time, they're using movement hacks. Does this sound like Mineplex has the best anti-cheat to you? Now, people with a strong argumentative skill might say, well, Happy Heart, you have no evidence of your own experiences. You're just pulling random numbers from nowhere and using confirmation bias. Fair point, but Jarvis has no proof in his post either. Both of us are running on rough estimates because it's virtually impossible to keep track of how many hackers you run into over months, years of playtime. And even if you do, it's only your own experiences. You can get lucky or unlucky with hackers. Now, but Jarvis also says, I have personally seen multiple hackers getting banned by Gwen right in front of my own eyes. I won't harass him on his grammar there. A long post is going to inevitably have some errors. Personally, I've only seen 3 hackers get banned by Gwen, if I recall correctly. In, I think it's the 6-7 months Gwen has been at work. Only 3. The one thing I'll agree with you here, Jarvis, is that hackers will always be a thing, yes. You can't completely eliminate hackers ever, but you can get pretty darn close, as seen on Good Tiger. Now then we have the issue of ban waves. People get a little pissed off with Gwen because it doesn't ban obvious hackers immediately. The reason for this is that Mineplex conducts ban waves, so Gwen knows a hacker is hacking and will ban them sometime after the hacker does their business to prevent hackers from figuring out what triggered Gwen. Sounds reasonable enough, right? But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the other big servers use the ban wave technique. Like Pinnacle, I don't know, but Good Tiger, I'm pretty sure bans hackers on the spot. Like right here, it bans this guy using player tracers. He wasn't even using heavy PvP advantage hacks as far as I could tell. So is the ban wave technique necessary? Because Good Tiger seems pretty seamless. Well, once more, I'm no expert, so nothing. Let it be known that I am aware how long it takes to make a well-oiled anti-cheat. If I were in charge of making the anti-cheat, well, we wouldn't have an anti-cheat, that's a thing. I admit, I know nothing about that technology. But if Jarvis has the audacity to boast about Mineplex's anti-cheat, saying it's better than other servers, I'm going to call him out on it. Like, nothing personal against the guy, but it wasn't the smartest thing Jarvis ever said. But for me, you know, hackers aren't really a major problem, because as you can see, they're stupid enough to kill without too much trouble. But for more casual players, I can imagine hackers being a gigantic nuisance, and obviously this is not good for the server. To end the video, big special thanks and shout out to our friend Udummie, who gave me a lot of insight into the issues being discussed in this video. We had like a 5-hour long conversation about it. And for a lot of my videos, or rather my channel as a whole, he takes the time out of his day to give me a ton of advice just like this. So here's Udummie's YouTube channel. The description is in the link. Subscribe to him. He's gonna be making a bomber guide soon, because I'm too lazy to make one. Go worship this cool individual right here. Udummie is his name. There will be at least one more part of this video uploaded in the near future, just because there's a lot to analyze within Jarvis's singular post. Enjoy your dinner, folks. I'll see you in Kentucky next Tuesday.